Scotland, where there will be cloud and it'll be quite windy with some outbreaks of rain. Now, temperatures tomorrow held down once again around 2 or 3 degrees, but in those northwestern parts temperatures will be higher, but I think with the wind it's going to feel pretty cold no less. Over the weekend, very little changes, except that there is a chance, I think, of a little bit of rain creeping its way further down across the country, but basically it stays fine. Cold, frosty nights, 1 or 2 patches of fog.
Londonderry, January the 30th, 1972. 13 were killed on Bloody Sunday.
I remember this terrible shock of, this shouldn't happen. This is not the way the British Army perform.
The commanding officer, Lieutenant Colonel Derek Wilford.
We moved as if we in fact were moving against a well-armed, well-trained army.
Exclusive eyewitness interviews present remarkable new insights for Inside Story. Remember Bloody Sunday, Tuesday, 10:25, BBC One.
On BBC Two now, Arena presents a special profile to be shown over 3 nights of the acclaimed Hollywood writer and director Billy Wilder, the man behind film classics such as Some Like It Hot and Sunset Boulevard. Here on BBC One now, Nick Ross and Sue Cook present this month's edition of Crimewatch UK.
Good evening. We've news tonight of 7 important arrests since last month's programme as a direct result of calls to Crimewatch. Charges include murder, armed robbery and indecent assault. Let's see what you can spot and who you recognise in the coming 3/4 of an hour.
Our first case tonight is an incident which took place early on the evening of Monday the 2nd of December. A woman who we'll call Sarah had caught her usual commuter train from King's Cross to Stevenage. She had to walk just over half a mile from Stevenage Station to where she'd parked her car. But that evening, in the course of that short walk, she was to encounter a man who abducted and then raped her. Police are concerned the same man may have committed other offences since then, so it's of paramount importance to find him before more people suffer similar attacks. Witnesses feel our actor does look very much like him. Our reconstruction begins on that Monday evening 7 weeks ago at Stevenage railway station. Many regular commuters avoid the extra daily expense of using the station car park by parking half a mile away, near an area known locally as the Town Gardens. Around 5:15 that Monday evening, Maria Borden and her daughter were walking back from the shops, taking the shortcut through the gardens.
As I came through the underpass, I was aware of someone following very closely behind me, so I quickened my step. I felt uncomfortable with this man following so close that I called out to my daughter. "Wait for me!" And at this point, he turned and went in a different direction. It was then that I noticed he had an awkward walk, maybe like he had been drinking.
Nearly an hour after that, Sarah was making her way to her car, using the same shortcut.
On that day I would have been in the gardens at about 6:05 because my train was a bit late that evening. As I approached the corner, I saw somebody out of the corner of my eye running, which I thought was probably a jogger.
Where's your bag?
Here, have it.
I'm desperate for money.
Can I just have my car keys?
Well, where are they?
In my bag.
Where's your car?
It's out on the road.
He told me he had a knife, and I saw something in his right hand that looked like a penknife. As he got in the car, he grabbed a screwdriver from the dashboard and held it to my side, and I thought that if I didn't do what he wanted, he would hurt me.
Drive.
Where to?
I want to go to London.
I noticed as we got in the car a strong smell of what I thought was glue.
What time's it?
It's 6:20.
Your clock's wrong.
I'll do it.
He seemed to be concerned about the time, so I put the clock right. He made me give him my jewellery. He was looking through my bag and there wasn't much cash. And he was asking me how much he could take out on my cash point and what he could use my cheque card for, because he didn't appear to be at all familiar with banks. I tried a number of times during the journey to glance at him.
Don't look at me.
One time when I did, he dug the screwdriver into my side. From the few glimpses that I got of him, I would say he was about 5'8", about 19 to 25 years old. He had straight, collar-length, mousy hair, which was passed in the middle and had a slight fringe. He seemed to be unsure about what he was doing, because he would go from being quite forceful to asking me if I was all right and if he'd hurt me.
Take the next turn off and the third exit to Barnet.
He appeared to know the Barnet area. He seemed to know where he was going.
He forced her to drive on, through Potter's Bar, then southwards out of Hertfordshire and into the open country roads near Enfield. Noticing a farm lane, he told her to turn into it. There, he raped her. That wasn't the end of her ordeal. She was then forced to carry on driving eastwards towards Essex.
I thought of trying to get out of the situation by crashing my car into another vehicle, but I decided that at the time it was too dangerous. I didn't want to cause an accident. He didn't really speak to me at all, apart from giving directions, but he did seem to be concerned about the time.
I've got to be somewhere tonight.
Perhaps he wanted her to drop him at a particular place where he'd arranged to meet someone. She found herself driving through Chingford and then out into Epping Forest.
I started to get scared as to how it would all end, because we were heading along a country road which appeared to be heading into forest and open fields. I was trying to keep as close as I could to the car in front because I was scared. And then as we approached the roundabout, I could see the garage on the other side, and there didn't appear to be anything much beyond it. And I decided it was my last chance. I just thought he might kill me. After I crashed my car and he'd made his escape, I was relieved to have got away from him. But I feel that somebody else might not be so lucky next time. So if anybody knows anything about this man, can they please come forward and help?
Well, Mr. Todd, that was an appalling ordeal for Sarah, lasting an hour and a half, and of course the suffering doesn't end there. How has she been coping since then?
She's been coping very well. It was a terrible ordeal. She's been able to help us throughout all our investigations, and of course was able to help you in your reconstruction.
Yeah. Now, the garage where she crashed her car was near Loughton in Essex at the Wake Arms roundabout. That was around 7:30 in the evening. Did anyone see where he went after he ran away?
Yes, he ran down Goldings Hill, and in fact the screwdriver was found in some undergrowth next to Goldings Hill, and some half an hour later, 1.5 miles away, near the King's Oak pub in High Beach, a man was seen looking agitated and nervous, walking along carrying a rucksack.
And of course we need to hear from anyone else who may have seen him that night.
Yes.
What's his description, if you can give that to us again?
Yes, he's a man of between 19 and 25 years old, about 5'8" tall. He had mousy coloured collar-length hair with a centre parting. He was wearing a slate grey sweatshirt with a dark or black band around the middle, similar to this one, and was carrying a nylon black rucksack identical to this.
And Sarah said he had a smell of glue about him. What do you make of that?
We believe the man could be a glue sniffer, or he could be someone that works with glue, for example, a carpet layer.
And do you think indeed he may have had an appointment to keep that night?
He certainly said more than once that he had to be somewhere that night, and he was conscious of the time we're anxious to trace anyone that was due to meet a man of that description that night who was either late or didn't turn up at all.
And remember, that was Monday the 2nd of December. And during the week before this attack, a man of a similar description was seen begging near Stevenage Station. Do you think this may have been the attacker, or perhaps not?
It could be because of his description, and it is unusual for us to have a beggar at Stevenage. We have now, in fact, traced a woman who spoke to this beggar. She believed he had an Irish accent, but we are anxious to trace him and able to eliminate him.
And finally, do you believe this man may have committed further attacks?
We've looked at a number of offences since our rape, and we've in particular looked at the rape of a young girl at Brentwood Railway Station car park on the 3rd of January this year. There are a number of similarities between the two crimes, and we cannot rule out the possibility the same man's involved. We consider him to be dangerous, and it's imperative we catch him.
Until he's found, this man is a serious danger, so if you can help find him, please don't hesitate to get in touch. This is the number to ring if you can help in any way at all, 081 811 8181, which gets you straight through to the studio here, or you can ring Mr Todd's colleagues direct at Hertfordshire headquarters on 0707 33 5500. That's 0707, the code for Welwyn Garden City, 33 5500. And for viewers who are hard of hearing, there's a Minicom number, 081 743 2468. Now, if you're concerned about safety in public places, then there is some good advice in these leaflets. You can pick up pamphlets like these free from your local police station, or you can send a 34p stamped addressed envelope to the Susie Lamplugh Trust, and that's at 14 East Sheen Avenue, London, SW14 8AS.
Each of the 3 reconstructions last month produced a lot of calls, over 500 between them, with what now looks like crucial information. Police are confident there are going to be results fairly soon. Last month's photo call appeals also produced results, 2 arrests directly. We showed a security video where 2 men tried to use a stolen cheque to buy Krugerrands at a jeweller's in West London. 50 viewers rang. As a result, a man has been arrested. We also showed pictures of someone police were looking for after a fight outside a nightclub in Newcastle upon Tyne, in which a young man was stabbed to death. Shortly after our programme, police arrested the man, and he's since been charged with murder.
And going back to last October's photo call, detectives wanted to talk to 2 men about thefts of cars, caravans and forklift trucks. And we showed part of a home movie shot by bar staff at a Devonshire inn, which featured the 2 men. And now 1 man has been arrested by Devon and Cornwall police and charged with burglary and deception. And Manchester police have arrested a 2nd man who's now awaiting trial, charged with 4 offences of theft. And going back even further, back to June 1990, Norfolk police asked us to appeal on photo call for a man who could help them with their inquiry into serious sex offences. A viewer saw the man shortly after the programme and contacted police, but the man couldn't be found. But then over a year later, the same viewer saw the man again, and this time the police made an arrest, and a man has now been charged with indecent assault. Well, with this month's Gallery of Faces, here are Detective Constable Jackie Hames and Superintendent David Hatcher.
Do you recognise this smartly dressed woman? We'd like to talk to her about £6,000 worth of travellers' cheques stolen last April at Gatwick Airport. She cashed all £6,000 worth in Scotland on the 9th and 10th of July. She went to branches as far apart as St Andrews and Jedburgh, but concentrated on the smaller towns such as Leven, Dunfermline and Kelso. Captured by bank security videos, she was wearing a neat denim jacket, but more often was seen in a bright red smock coat. Her dressy earrings made her quite noticeable, as well as her tanned face and English accent. If you know where she is now, please don't hesitate to call.
Has this man called on you recently? South Yorkshire police are looking for Nathan Clifford Miller, who they believe has information about deceptions totalling some £15,000. Posing as a plumber, he visits working men's clubs across the north of England and carries out short inspections. Saying that further repairs are needed, he's given money in advance and never returns. Nathan Miller uses a yellow Morris Marina van like this one. Its registration number is A729YDA, and he wears a dark blue boiler suit when making his calls. He's 44 and has a scar across the bridge of his nose and a tattoo which says Sue on his left arm. He's a compulsive gambler and often goes to betting shops. Nathan Clifford Miller was last known to be in the Northwich area of Cheshire, but if you know where he is now, please ring us tonight.
Beware of this man, particularly if you work in an office building in the West End of London. Posing as a British telecom engineer, he says he's come to do some work on the phones, but when he comes across an empty office, he takes money and credit cards from wallets and handbags. He's 27 to 32 and around 6 foot. He's got a pitted complexion, and everyone remembers a gap between his front teeth. So if you know who this bogus telephone engineer is, please do ring.
If you too are a lover of horse racing, you may have seen this man, David Bryan London. Devon and Cornwall police investigating indecency offences would like to speak to him. He comes from Newquay but hasn't been seen since the 10th of February 1990. He likes betting on the horses, and it may be that you've seen him at the races. He's 61, just under 6 foot, and wears gold-rimmed glasses. He's a smart dresser and very plausible. So if you know this man or have any information on his whereabouts or can help with any of our other photocall faces, please call us now.
And this is the number to ring, 081 811 8181. It's 081 811 8181.
Our next case is about a young man murdered in his own home in Lancashire late one afternoon in the last week of November. No one seems to know why. It's possible there's a drugs connection, but even that's by no means certain, and detectives are hoping someone watching tonight will tell them in confidence what was going on. John Threlfall was a bright lad who lived with his parents in Bolton-le-Sands on the A6 near Morecambe in Lancashire. The family moved into Coniston Road a couple of years ago. John wasn't just a keen sportsman, he was good. In cricket, he'd been selected for the Lancashire schools under-18s.
I think he had such a natural, he didn't have a natural talent. But he wanted to play in the village, he didn't want to go on, and his ambitions at first were, I think, to play for England or something, but then he decided just to play for the local team with his friends. He was really a very happy child. He was interested in such a lot of things.
But not everything was going right. John seemed to have lost his sense of motivation. He'd enrolled at college to study A-level art, but had dropped out after a few weeks, unhappy with the course. He took to staying in his room all day, undecided about his future. It's known he'd taken some drugs sometime over the summer of last year. It's also known there was a problem playing on his mind, though he wouldn't reveal what it was. Friday, the 29th of November. John's father left for work at 8:20, leaving John alone in the house, along with the family dog. The Threlfalls never locked the door if someone was at home. Just after 4 that Friday afternoon, John rang his father's office.
Good afternoon, Morecambe reception.
Is Duncan Threlfall in?
I'm sorry, he's out now. He won't be back until Monday morning.
Right, thanks, bye.
Bye.
That was the last time John was known to be alive. People remember several strangers near John's house over the next 2 hours. Police are anxious to eliminate them from the inquiry. The first 2 appeared separately at the Mobile Jubilee garage on the A6 about 400 yards from John's home in Coniston Road. It's 4:30 p.m. on Friday, November the 29th.
Do you know where Coniston Road is?
Yes. Now, let me see. Are you facing this way?
Was this you, or do you know who it was? Police know of no one in Coniston Road who was expecting or received a visitor that night.
She was about 5'5" tall, had mousy hair, permed into a bubble cut that went from short to long, and was in her early 30s. Turn off to your left, and that is Coniston Road.
Thank you very much.
After directing her, she seemed as if she was in a mood or an argument with somebody and said, "Thank you very much," in a hasty way.
About half an hour later, Pauline received another visitor.
help you?
Can you direct me to Coniston Road?
Yes. If you go back along the main... He was in his late 20s, early 30s. He had very dark brown hair and moustache. He was dressed in an evening suit. He was so well-dressed and immaculate. I took it that he worked at either one of the local night spots or that he was going out for an evening out to a dinner or something.
Police are also eager to trace a man who was seen running down the A6 away from the direction of John's house. Trevor Norris, a local joiner, was on his way home.
As I got to the junction with Sline Road, I saw a lad running very fast on the left-hand side. The lad looked to be in his early 20s and was about 5'10" to 6 foot high, and his hair was light brown in colour.
John had arranged to meet a friend at Lancaster Station early that evening. The two were going to get the 5:45 to Manchester to see John's brother. But the friend, Graham Nightingale, waited there in vain. Around the time John was due at Lancaster Station, his neighbour saw two people outside the Threlfalls' house. Were they the strangers from the garage? Graham Nightingale gave up waiting for his friend at around the time John's father arrived home from work. Unusually, the house was in darkness.
John?
John was dead. He'd been beaten up and strangled.
I'd just like to make an appeal for anybody at all who knows anything about John's death to come forward, because until we realise the reason why this has happened, it just is keeping us all in not, I can't explain, in a limbo. We just cannot relate to it at all, and just can't understand why anybody would have done it to John.
Graham Gooch, that's the problem. You can't understand why anybody would have done it either, and obviously that's the major point of appeal tonight.
Well, that's right. We're short of a motive. We don't know why. There's been speculation about drugs, but we really can't be certain, and we need to know why he died.
Now, apart from the people that we saw in that film, and you need those people to come forward and eliminate themselves, or others to identify them, there was the sighting of a man near John's house.
Well, that's right. A couple of 100 yards away, there's a level crossing across the main London-Scotland railway line. Now, a man was seen there at about 4:30 on that evening. He was about 6 feet tall, and he had brown hair which appeared to have light streaks in it. He was wearing a tan, three-quarter length trench coat, was carrying a large tan holdall or sports bag, and we'd like to speak to that man.
So again, if that was you, or you know who it might have been, do please call us. The date again, Friday the 29th of November, we're talking about the late afternoon, early evening. A couple of cars too, one right outside John's home, another one just down the street.
Yes, the one just down the street was a light-coloured Ford Orion motor car. That was seen in the rear car park of Bolton Le Sands fire station, which isn't normally manned. A young man, possibly in his 20s, was seen sitting in the car and appeared to be reading something, possibly a map. Now, the odd thing about that is that if he was going to consult a map, there was plenty of room for him to just pull onto the forecourt. So why was he in the rear car park? Now, that car park overlooks the back gardens of Coniston Road, so that man may have seen something at that time.
Even if he didn't, you want him to call in, presumably?
Yes, we certainly do, yeah.
And the car outside the Threlfalls' house?
Yes, outside the Threlfalls' house was a white hatchback type car, possibly an XR2, like the one you can see, or a 3, that sort of vehicle. None of the neighbours can account for it as being theirs or belonging to visitors. And the one thing we do know, it wasn't there when Mr. Threlfall Sr. came home at 10 to 6.
So again, this is largely a matter of elimination, probably, but you never know. The man seen running down the A6, there were several witnesses to that, weren't there?
That's right. We've had 4 witnesses come forward who have seen him, probably the same man, and he was seen running, they all say the same thing, he was running very fast, not just jogging, but really running fast. He was seen near to John's house by the Little Chef, and then down as far as Sline Road. Now that young man is late teens, early 20s, and he's got dark hair. He was wearing a grey crew neck top and dark trousers.
Supposing he had nothing to do with this murder, but was just running away from something else, perhaps a very minor offence that he shouldn't have been involved with, and he rings up. I mean, he might be quite cautious about calling you.
Well, that's right, but I'm really interested in the murder and nothing else. And if he has nothing to do with it, I'd like him to come forward, because I've got an awful lot of people looking for him, and we don't want to waste time on it.
OK, there's a reward for this, isn't there?
There is. The Community Action Trust are putting up a reward of £5,000 for information leading to the arrest and charge of the persons who killed John Threlfall.
I think it's the biggest award they've ever put up. It's very rarely that people do call Crimewatch in order to get a reward. If you can help with this in any way, if you knew John Threlfall, if you've got anything that you can help us with that will cast light on the motive for this killing, do call 081 811 8181. That's 081 811 8181. Or you can call the detectives, colleagues of Graham Gooch, who are back at the incident room. That's 0772 61 771. That's 0772, that's the code for Preston, 61 771.
Well, more news on past cases. You'll remember the murder of 7-year-old Angeli Flaherty from Huddersfield. We appealed last September for your help to find her killer. Well, viewers called from all over the country offering help and information, and although not as a result of our programme, I can tell you that on December the 20th, an 18-year-old man was arrested and charged with Angela's murder. He's in custody awaiting trial.
On Incident Desk, we asked for help in tracing two men who robbed a building society in East Anglia. We had only 15 calls on that appeal, but that was enough. Two viewers gave the same name for one of the men. Another viewer rang suggesting where they might be staying. Two men are now in custody awaiting trial. Now with this month's Incident Desk, here are Superintendent David Hatcher and Detective Constable Jackie Hames.
First, the theft of £20 which resulted in a murder inquiry. David Boss was a family man who'd lived in the same house in Walthamstow, East London for the past 16 years. Every other week, a charity worker collecting for cancer research called at David's home in Chelmsford Road. It's Monday, 25th of November.
Hello, John, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
Fine. Afraid you'll have to give me some change. I've only got a 20-quid note.
Yeah, no problem. I'll see what I can do for you.
Oi!
Oi! What do you think you're doing?
During the attack, David suffered severe head injuries. He died 2.5 weeks later. 40 minutes earlier, a man who looked like his attacker was seen in this newsagent's just round the corner from David's house. He asked the cashier for half an ounce of tobacco, saying he'd pay later. When she refused, he started kicking boxes around and only left when he thought she was calling the police. He's 45 to 55, about 5'9", with a stocky build and dirty, straggly hair. He was scruffy and she thought he had a slight Irish accent. A woman remembers seeing a similar-looking man in the area the next day. That's November the 26th.
Have you got £2 for a packet of cigarettes?
I'm sorry, all I have is my keys in my pocket. I don't even carry them. Sorry.
Could it have been the same person? Did he approach you? If you do recognise the man in the photo fit or know anything at all about the tragic death of David Boss, please ring us now.
While many of us were watching Sue Cook on the Children in Need appeal, two men in Torquay were busy robbing the main post office in the High Street. About 8:10 on the evening of Friday the 22nd of November, two men in their 30s broke in, terrifying staff with sawn-off shotguns. Their victims were tied up with these white plastic things, normally used by garages. This homemade Winciette pillowcase was put over one man's head. They escaped with a very large sum of money in this Fiat Uno, stolen from one of their victims, and they dumped it 4 miles away at King's Kerswell. One of the robbers wore a yellow hard hat. This triangular design and ribbing on the top make it quite unusual. Perhaps you know this man. He was one of two men acting suspiciously at the back of the post office a few days before the robbery. He's in his late 30s, around 5'10", and was also wearing a yellow hard hat. If you think you can help in any way, we need to hear from you. A very large reward is being offered.
In Hampshire, a schoolgirl was raped as she finished her paper round. It happened in Old Basing, in the corridor of this block of flats in Bellevue Road. It was about 8:20 in the morning on Friday the 3rd of January. Her attacker is 30 to 40, 5'8" to 5'10", with short dark hair swept back over his ears. He was wearing a black dark-rimmed glasses, dark blue jeans and a dark top, possibly a jumper. This is a terrible offence, so if you recognise him, we'd like to hear from you. We also need to find the driver of a maroon cab like this, or indeed its passengers, seen in the area at around the same time. That's between 8 and 8:30 on January the 3rd. You may unwittingly hold the clue to this case. If you do know who this man is, or can help with any of our other incident desk cases, please call now.
The number, as always, 081 811 8181, 081 811 8181.
Well, we're getting a real rush of calls here now. Everybody seems to be on the phone. Quite a few calls on the rape of the woman in Hertfordshire. Several viewers seem to think they know who that man may be. A sighting in Basildon. Several names have been put forward, two of which coincide. There's one call in particular that police are very interested in, but I'll give you more details if we can later on that one. And we now have another witness who saw the crash at the garage and saw the man running away. So there's a lot to go on that, all being checked out at the moment. On our photocall cases, several calls on the bogus BT engineer. Two viewers say they've seen him in a certain part of East London, very recently. Another sighting of him in North London. Somebody else has given police a name which is now being looked into as I speak. David Bryan, London, quite a few calls on him. A viewer saw him recently in a Cheshire betting shop, and some other viewers have seen him in that area too. And a possible lead on the van, which was driven by Nathan Miller, that seems to be in Virginia Water, that's being followed up to see if it's correct. And a report of Mr. Miller today, apparently, in Yorkshire. So those are all being checked out at the moment. There's quite a lot more coming in, but we'll keep you posted.
Incidentally, hundreds of viewers write to say they'd like to know more about the final outcome of Crimewatch cases. Well, at the start of a new year, there are some very clear results already from 1991.
Somebody's just been shot!
Oh my God!
A viewer remembered repairing the smashed window. The car was traced to a hire company, and the hirer was traced to Ireland. Two men were arrested and have been imprisoned for a total of 14 years.
Look, I told you right. It doesn't matter where you're going. I can take you anywhere. Here. Do you want a cigarette?
Thanks. John!
A teenager was abducted, raped, then dumped beside the roadside. A viewer recognised the car, as well as descriptions of the attacker, and as a result of his call, a man was identified and arrested. Police were able to link the offence with one earlier in the year, and the man was charged with 2 counts of rape and is serving 7 years in jail.
Okay.
The day after we showed this reconstruction, a viewer called police and gave one name, a man already known to them. Prolonged surveillance followed, and 5 months later, 2 men were arrested as they tried another robbery. Both are now in prison for a large number of offences. Christoph Schliak, a colourful character who lived in Shepherd's Bush, West London, was stabbed to death in his home after returning from the pub. One of the men who'd been seen with him that night was described as having a strong Dublin accent. And after receiving information from a viewer in Dublin, police arrested a man, extradited him to England, and there at the Old Bailey he was tried and convicted of manslaughter. Detectives still need to trace a blood-stained man seen after a taxi driver, Stephen Johnson, had his throat cut late one night. A witness is convinced he saw the man again more recently, and this man is now urgently being sought, if only for elimination. He was wearing a dark blue NATO-style jumper with shoulder patches or epaulettes. He may have a scar or blemish on the left side of his face. Geraldine Polk was murdered a few yards from her home after a night out on the town with friends. The programme failed to find her killer, but police have asked us to appeal again to trace the man with whom Geraldine had a close relationship a few days before Christmas 1990, 2 days before her death. The case is now making scientific history, the first in which a new technique called REMS is being used to undertake mass screening for DNA. In all, through the 10 Crimewatch programmes shown last year, we covered 116 cases, mainly the most serious crimes, including murder, and often where investigations were running out of steam. 36 have so far resulted in arrests, 31 of those as a direct result of information from Crimewatch viewers.
Well, our next and last case tonight is a robbery that anyone who was near the City of London on Friday, October the 18th may remember. It brought the whole area to a virtual standstill. It's the armed attack on a Group 4 security van making a routine call to a bank in High Holborn. The key to finding the gunman may well lie in the 2 cars which were used to escape from the scene. They'd both been stolen on the same day 3 months beforehand, and our reconstruction begins on Wednesday the 17th of July in St John's Wood in northwest London. It's shortly before closing time at a car showroom just down the road from Lord's Cricket Ground. The delivery manager there specifically remembers 2 men coming in.
Can I help you at all?
No, it's all right. I've been with her.
Okay.
Just browsing.
They struck me as being rather different from our normal customers and the clients that we get here, especially 2 men together. It'll either be normally one on their own or with their wife and their family. I particularly remember the fair-haired man out of the 2. He had about collar-length curly blonde hair. He was about 29 to 35, about 5'7" to 5'9", I would think.
A few minutes later, the 2 men coolly helped themselves to one of the second-hand cars. The valet assumed it was being collected by customers. It's a dark blue Volvo 340 with a spoiler on the back. Where did it go, and where was it kept between July the 17th and October the 18th? And on that same day, just about 5 miles away, a white Peugeot 309 was stolen. It had been waiting outside Warwick Wright Motors just off the Holloway Road. This is Holborn, one of the busiest parts of the city, both for traffic and pedestrians. In the thick of it all, at about 10:30 in the morning on Friday the 18th of October, a Group 4 van was making a routine stop at the National Westminster Bank in High Holborn. A workman from the building next door saw 2 men hanging around.
What the time, mate? They're 10:30.
They seemed quite agitated and obviously waiting for something.
Give us some money! Give us some money! Stop them! Give us some money! Want more? We haven't got any more.
A second Group 4 van, seeing the raid, alerted their control room. The gunman is thought to be about 35 and quite short, around 5'7".
Go!
a motorcycle courier, Michael Clark, decided to give chase. The second Group 4 van also followed for a short distance. Michael wasn't to know that in the car pulling out behind him was an accomplice. He managed to keep up with them round Bloomsbury Square and into Bedford Place. Well, DS Andrew Murphy's in charge of this investigation. Now, as that courier began to get to his feet, other motorcyclists stopped to offer help. You'd like this man to come forward and contact you?
Yes, we would, Sue. He was there almost immediately, but unfortunately he left before police arrived. He may have seen something that we don't know about, and we would ask him to contact us.
Yes, so if that was you, please do give us a ring tonight. What the courier did was very brave. It was also a very dangerous thing to do, as we saw.
It was extremely brave. Thankfully his injuries are minor, and he's now back at work. We don't normally advise people to get involved, but Michael certainly was brave.
Now, the Peugeot and the Volvo, as I said earlier, are probably the key to solving this investigation. They were stolen on the 17th of July. So what do you think happened to them between then and the 18th of October? There's a 3-month gap between the time they were stolen and the time of the robbery.
We're quite certain that they were left outside in the street, not garaged. We're particularly interested in the Peugeot. This has suffered some damage between being stolen and between the robbery. We'd like anybody that has seen the car in the street, can remember the damage, to come forward or can explain how the damage was caused.
Yeah, somebody may well remember actually having an accident with that Peugeot.
That's right.
What did the gunman do immediately after they'd caused the courier to come off his bike? What happened next?
They both drove off in their separate vehicles. The Peugeot was abandoned outside the Bloomsbury Theatre in Gordon Street. The Volvo was abandoned a short distance away in Fitzroy Street, near to the Post Office Tower. This is the vehicle we're particularly interested in here, and we'd like anybody that saw the men leave the Volvo to come forward.
Right. And finally, we can give one good description of the gunman. Could you run through that for us?
Yes, certainly. He's 35 years of age, about 5'7" tall, well built. He had fair, wavy, curly hair, and he had a couple of days' stubble on his face.
And what about the other man? Can you give us a description of the accomplice?
We can. He again is about 35 years of age, about 5'7" tall. He was medium build with dark hair. He possibly of Mediterranean origin.
Right, Mr. Murphy, thank you. If you think you might recognise either of these descriptions, or if you can help in any way, then please do call us now, here in the studio, on 081 811 8181, or you can call the Flying Squad at New Scotland Yard on 071 230 2301. That's 071 230 2301.
It's quite a lot of specific information coming in tonight on the David Bryan London case. A number of sightings, 1 or 2 addresses. Equally for the Red Coat woman, as she's called, the woman who's wanted by Lothian and Borders Police. On the Hertfordshire rape, several names have been put forward. One of the calls especially, I'm told, seems promising. The bogus BT engineer who's been robbing offices when he turns up there. A lot of sightings, mostly from East London. 2 possible names, a couple put forward, in fact, by a police officer. A possible sighting today in Barkingside, that of course is in East London. Several calls with names on the Torquay Post Office raid, on the John Threlfall murder. Again, names put forward with some information about a party that John went to, which is being followed up right now.
Well, keep ringing, because as always our lines here will be open until midnight, and we'll be back with Crimewatch Update after question time at 11:15.
And if you can't stay up till then, please don't worry about what we've shown tonight. With your help, police are solving these cases right now, so don't have nightmares, do sleep well. Good night.
Good night.
Lovejoy has some surprise guests.
The hothouse flowers.
Keep your holy loving eye. Lovejoy has a weekend rendezvous.
Let's go down to the sea in a little ship.
How little?
Sleeps too.
Chasing Crumpet. At his age.
You don't like the idea?
What?
Getting married?
I never know if you're kidding or not.
Lovejoy pops the question. Sunday, 7:45, BBC One. Roman silver and an Iron Age fort are not the only secrets on a Kent hillside.
It's evil. It sends out waves of evil. It affects everyone.
How do you mean?
The birds don't sing up there, you know.
No, that's just a tale.
No. No. They killed my Dennis.
Bad Vibes for Moon and Sun, Saturday at 7:55.
Back to Tonight on One, and now Peter Sissons hosts an hour of debate on the issues of the moment. In Question Time.
Good evening and welcome back to Question Time, which tonight starts election year in the northwest of England, a region loaded with marginal parliamentary seats. So here in the Whitworth Hall of the University of Manchester, around the table are Virginia Bottomley, who is a Minister of State at the Department of Health and a prime candidate to enter the Cabinet should the Conservatives win again. Before entering Parliament, she worked for 13 years among deprived children and was once sympathetic to some of Labour's ideas. More recently, a Labour MP labelled her the demure and acceptable form of extremism. But she says she is a one-nation Conservative and adds, "I am a do-gooder. We aren't here for long. We have to move things on a bit." The Right Honourable John Smith hopes she'll be moving on soon. The Shadow Chancellor has been called his party's most precious asset, with reassuring images such as country solicitor or family doctor freely applied to him. Mr. Smith's bedside manner was said to be ruffled recently when his leader appeared to take him by surprise by emphasising that Labour's tax increases could be phased in.